Hey, from the Gallatin National Forest, pretty near the interstate. Oh, a butterfly. Did you see that? I know I'm on the path. It's Virginia Schmidt. You know me. So today I just wanted to talk for a second as I'm walking back down this trail here about repressed trauma. Because I think we all have some. I know I do. So I'll just talk about me. And if something in you is, itching, ticking, clicking at this, then maybe some of the things that have helped me lately can help you. And I'm going to be writing a lot about this and figuring out how to publish it all. Like I said, you're going to be seeing a lot from me. This looks like a nice place to sit for a second. Although it looks like there may be some serious ant holes. We'll see. You're going to be hearing a lot from me on my blog. Just about me creating my own world there. But a lot of what I'm going to be writing about is this subconscious ancestral trauma that I'm bringing to the surface. And some of the things that have helped me, mother mushroom, psilocybin mushrooms, a microdose, and my thoughts were racing and I was lying in bed. This was a couple of weeks ago now. I got a message that was like, hey, there's some work you need to do, some medicine. I had my childhood home to myself, and my thoughts were racing, and I was just thinking of all these things of past and future and just race. And all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, what am I not letting myself see and settle on? And that was when it all started, as far as having some of these visions of this repressed trauma and something that happened to me in childhood. And recently, my friend Monica Garcia, who is soon going to be on my Divine Dialogues, did something called bioattunement therapy, I think it is. I'll be talking about it, and it's something with tuning forks where you can do it remotely or in person, where you go through and kind of tune into each ring of a person's life, like tree rings, so like years. And sure enough, right around the time of the trauma, she's like, oh, I feel sick. I feel nauseous in this way that I only have one other time, which was with someone who was molested in childhood. And it's like, well, that's interesting, because these unconscious memories have been becoming conscious. And so bioattunement therapy, psilocybin mushrooms, if you're in a place where that's a medicine that you've worked with and that you feel safe with. I'm certainly not condoning it for everyone. Meditation, and you know what else, as I was talking about with my friend Elise yesterday about accessing higher dimensional, more aware consciousness, bringing the unconscious to the conscious, being in higher dimensions. Trust. Because the next day after those first visions, and psilocybin mushrooms and psychedelics are very boundary dissolving. So a lot of times they dissolve those boundaries that we've put up between the conscious and the unconscious. And the next day, I was like, oh, was that even real? Was I just making that up? And I wasn't, because it keeps coming. And writing is the other thing that has helped me a lot, that I would urge you into as a practice. And recording can be really good too, like just audio recording yourself. But when you allow yourself to get into that practice, my teacher, Natalie Goldberg, who wrote one of the most influential books of my life too, actually, The Great Spring, Zen Writing and the Zigzag Life, and the book Writing Down the Bones. And she talks about writing as a practice. And the idea is to get below thinking mind to wild mind, right? So below the conscious to the unconscious. And you start making these associations, which this is what depth psychology and Freud and Jung all about, and really symbolism and mysticism is all about, and the language of dreams. So writing down your dreams, actually that was what first, it wasn't the mushrooms that first led me to it. And when I say microdosed, this first night that I processed this, I probably partook in less than half a gram, maybe a quarter of a gram. So like really microdose. but it was a dream that I had the night of the new moon in Aries. And I knew I would get some answers that night because I had these divination card signs kind of telling me to change directions. I was going to go south, south, south. And it was like literally a card that said, choose a new direction with the options of north and south. And I knew that my dreams in the new moon would show me. And so my dream, which I wrote down very vividly, I had 2 extremely vivid dreams that night, and I've been having vivid dreams ever since. If you want to show your dreams and your unconscious that you're interested in their teachings, then just start talking to them and writing them down and showing that you're listening, and they will be more likely to continue showing you things. So that dream and writing that down, and then with the mushrooms, I started to understand what things symbolized and were associated with. And again, this is the language of mythology, of our unconscious. It's more so in symbols and associations. Although sometimes when we get the pattern or the association, it can be something quite literal, like a play on words. But for instance, these, precious in the dream, these precious innocent possessions or charges of mine, my dogs were representing my and someone very close to me's innocence being given away. So that's just an example. And again, this will be something that I write about. It's something that I'm processing, but I just want to encourage you, write down your dreams, get into a practice of free association, whether it's recording yourself on video or speaking or writing, that allows you to start to understand your unconscious mind connects things that are like the heart of things, the heart and symbol and true core of things that it just automatically associates, that your conscious mind wants to tell you, well, that's dumb. Those things don't have anything to do with each other. Don't associate that. Which is why just getting into almost a trance-like state can really help with that. So meditation as well. Anyway, I'm not trying to tell you that you have repressed trauma that you don't remember. I hope you don't. I really hope you don't. I never thought I did until I started asking to be shown and started paying attention to the messages and the symbols and the signs that my dreams and my boundary dissolved psychedelically induced, and then practice sort of hypnotic kind of states induced by deep practice like writing or walking or meditating started to give to me. So, and maybe for you it's not repressed trauma, maybe it's just ideas that are latent in there that are asking to come out and expressions that are asking to come into being. But it's been really amazing for me, and I just wanted to tell you some practices that have been helping me, and maybe hear some practices that have been helping you. And so many things, start to come together too. You start to remember things in your life that, again, your conscious mind would not have allowed you to associate. And you start to realize things like, as I was just making another connection, walking up this trail, I can't remember what this trail is called, but I'm just outside Bozeman, and heading further north. And I was thinking, why was it so important to me? Because as Monica was doing this bioattunement or biofield therapy with tuning forks remotely, and again, she'll soon be on the Divine Dialogues if you want to learn more about that. The forks in their movement and their actions, and then as well as her psychic attuned sense in being tuned in and connected to my energy field, tell us when major sort of energy shifts had happened. And one of the energy shifts that she noticed and I noticed and came together in my kind of trancy unconscious state was like the times that I started to feel that being attractive to the opposite sex. And as I was walking up here, I was like, why was this so important to me? And it came to me because of this trauma, and perhaps there are multiple, but at least one trauma that happened when I was around 5 years old, it created this need for me to be in control. To be in control. And it explains so many of my past relationships and so much of that need to control, which has also not been something that I've been conscious of until recently, and have really tuned into that. Like, wow, there is things that seem to be love that were really just me trying to be in control. And I have so much compassion for that, rather than judgment or like, I'm an evil, controlling person. No, like there was this child that was put in an unsafe situation that was totally out of her control. And so as long as that remains repressed and unconscious, I am running on that unconscious program. Like Jung said, if we don't make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives and we will call it fate. And so I'm running on that program that says, when you're in control, you can be safe. You will never let yourself be out of control again. You will never be in someone else's control again. And it made me realize that it was because I was always like this. I liked to dress like a boy and look more like this. This is much more me. And I, run around outside with my animals in nature, getting dirty, barefoot with my hair short, people wondering if I was a girl or a boy. Like, this is me. And so why did I feel like I had to become so girly and attractive and make my body and my face and my clothes and everything look like that? And I realized it was just as I was on this walk, another example of control. Because I felt like if I had that power that can give you to be, attractive in that media programmed sort of way, especially for women that we're so programmed into, that would give me power over men. And it was, a man, someone who I trusted, who put me in this unsafe situation that I didn't have control over. And so, because I was thinking, well, that's weird that I would want to be, that would be so important to me to need to be attractive to men. Why would that be if I was, in this unsafe, sexually charged situation? And I realized, again, because that actually gives you control and power, So it's not a coincidence that as this is healing and the unconscious is becoming conscious, and I'll also say that this is all happening in conjunction with my friend Elise, who again will be on the Divine Dialogue soon. We had a conversation yesterday. She has done 2 quantum healings on me recently. So, that's another thing that I would recommend that I think cannot be disentangled from this. So bringing the unconscious conscious is allowing me to be more myself. Because when I take control of my own unconscious by allowing the unconscious to become conscious, I'm not being controlled by it anymore. AKA being controlled by this need to be in control in order to feel safe. So that's my very vulnerable take from out here in the Gallatin National Forest today. And, again, if this speaks to you, if you feel like you might discover that there are reasons that you don't feel as able to portray your authentic self. And it may have something to do with trying to create a safety or a sense of control or hiding or something like that has to do with an unconscious trauma that you may well have repressed. Or again, just an unconscious dream or goal or something that you're not expressing. And maybe not. Maybe this is just me sharing what happened with me and telling you some practices that have been really healing in my life, whatever they end up looking like for you. So, thanks for allowing me to be vulnerable and to be real and to shed some light on some of the darkest parts of my life that I wasn't even aware of. talk to you soon, and keep checking in with my blog. I haven't posted anything yet, but again, that's where there's going to be, I've been recording my dreams every single day. I'm going to have a tab just for dreams, all my photos, all my videos. I've been writing thousands of words every day of just chronicles of my trip. It feels like I've lived 10 years in 10 days. And as Elise said yesterday, time is flexing for me in that way. So this kind of healing, though, trauma and healing take place outside of time, and our body remembers. And I'm really, really thankful to be in a place where I can begin to do this work. Thanks for coming along.